Impromptu review of my 2020 Trek Rail 9.0 or Trek Rail 9. In Australia, the market consists of, for the rail, the 9.8, the 9, the 7, and then the entry model to the range actually switches to the LT Powerfly or Powerfly LT, which is the entry into the long travel e-bike range for Trek in 2020. The difference between the 9 and the 9.8 is the frame and handlebar material being aluminium on this 9 and carbon fibre on the 9.8. Colourways are only available in the one colour in each model in the range here in Australia as well. So nowhere near the options that you have in Europe and the American States. So I came from a 2019 Scott E-Genius 910 which had the Shimano motor. I changed the fork on it to 160mm travel, so spec wise as far as travel is concerned, 160 at the front, 150 at the rear. Both bikes were the same. The Scott was suspended by Fox front and rear, this one RockShox. I'm a bit of a weekend warrior, so the difference between those two is fairly hard to differentiate between me. They both, or by me rather, they both perform quite well. The difference in the motor, this is the 2020 or Gen 4 Bosch CX Performance motor, is quite stark to the Shimano E8000. Still taking a little bit of getting used to. I could honestly say that there's nothing I dislike about this bike at this stage, but most certainly that motor is completely different. You do have an extra mode, which is quite handy, touring mode, which sort of sits in the middle. EMTB, I guess, is the equivalent to trail mode on the Shimano motor. So EMTB on the Bosch. That puts out a lot more power when you put in maximum effort, and that power seems to come on a little bit more suddenly, which is something I guess will take a bit of getting used to, and it does have some overrun. Almost a little bit too much grunt at times, but it has helped when I've stalled on some technical bits a couple of times in riding on the weekend. One bonus that I have discovered is that the electric assistance when pedalling tends to actually taper off slowly. I'm still getting some assistance at an indicated 26.5 kilometers an hour, so I'll take the bonus. I haven't really challenged battery life as yet, but the 625, I think it is, watt-hour battery should give me a bit more range than the 504 that I had with the Shimano. I could eke about 80 kilometers out of that, so about 50 miles if you're into your imperial measurements, with about 380 or 400 meters worth of elevation. So, but at this stage, beautiful bike. The 29-inch wheels I think are really suited to this amount of travel. I might post a more detailed review discussing the specifications, maybe things I might change. As I get older I get a little bit of arm pump, so I think I might throw some carbon handlebars on it, and maybe some carbon wheels just for the hell of it, though I don't really think it needs it at this stage. I'm not noticing any flex or any weaknesses in the aluminium rims that are on it. Most certainly have noticed the one difference between the two bikes in the short amount of time I've had this one is this is definitely a lighter bike, so that 2.5 kilos or thereabouts that's less in the Bosch motor is most definitely noticeable on this bike. It's also a large compared to an extra large that I had in this Scott bike, but otherwise yeah, an expensive bike, but worth every single penny, measured in smiles on my face at the moment. So stay tuned.